Hey, in this video, we're going to talk about what are the agency payment models and which payment model to choose for your offer to assure the fastest scaling. For those that don't know me, my name is Martin Bujac and I scale agencies for a living. We mainly work with local lead gen agencies and we scale them to anywhere between 50 to 100K per month predictably. All right, so let's jump back into my computer and let's go over the pricing models. Let's start with what is a pricing model. It's a component of an offer that describes how much do you charge for your work, when do you collect payments, and in what form do you take payments from your clients. And now the pricing model is a bit different than value offering, but both pricing model and value offering are components of an offer. So value offering describes what problem do you solve for your clients, how do you do it, and what outcome/transformation your clients can expect. So basically, your value offering is, for example, we solve client acquisition problems for agencies by installing a set of already working and proven funnels. For that, our pricing model is a retainer, and that creates an offer, right? But what are the pricing models? So 5 most common pricing models for lead generation agencies would be either, for example, a success fee that can be percentage of or pay after milestone. That can be pay per result, so a certain reward for a certain outcome. It can be a retainer, so a certain reward for a certain period. It can also be hourly, although not that widely used in lead gen space, and that is basically paid per hour. And hybrid is where it gets interesting for all the agencies that want to scale this year. But let's start with the success fee first. For who the success fee is. It's best for either the agencies that are just starting out and they're looking to get their first clients, don't carry too much risk and be able to learn, or for big agencies with good proof of concept, good service delivery that know that if they find rockstar clients, they can scale them to the moon, right? So what are the examples of a success fee payment method? It's, for example, 30% of cash generated minus ad spend. It can be 15% of a closed deal. 5K after 5 clients, that is pay after milestone, or for example, $20,000 on $30,000 in revenue generated, right? Okay, so what are the advantages of a success fee payment model? First of all, it allows a very little risk on your end because you are being paid after you deliver the results. And it's very, very easy to close because there's, as I said, less involvement, less friction, less risk on the client side to trust you, right? To give you the budget. And also, if you have a spot on service delivery, you will have very, very high margins. You'll get a lot of money from your clients. Now, are there any disadvantages to the success fee model? Of course, first of all, if you are just starting out and you're looking for proof of concept, that is okay, but you will be working for free if you can generate the results. And also the cash collection is deferred, meaning first you need to do the work and you need to put the input and then you get the reward in the form of payment. Next model is pay per result. This is very good for agencies that, for example, own their own lead streams. So for example, they run ads and then they redistribute the leads among the clients, or they have few locally positioned SEO directories or websites that are generating them leads every day and they're looking to resell that to clients. It can be also very good for niche down agencies with a very wide spectrum of service, or also for starting agencies. Now, in regards to agencies that are niche down and have a small spectrum of service, like for example, they just generate inbound leads for roofing businesses, right? And then they generate it through Facebook ads or Google ads, and they generate directly the calls. They can charge per call, per lead, and then they don't have the responsibility, so they don't care if the clients convert the lead, meaning in the roofing niche, if they book them for an inspection, for example, right? So they also carry less risk, and they are only responsible for their part in the process. And the pricing examples are, for example, $300 per qualified show, $150 per booked appointment. It can be $30 per lead. Or if we are going with a more high ticket approach, pay per result could be, for example, also like $1,500 or $1,000 commission per every sale that comes in. But then that is also a bit harder to track. You need to have more access in regards to tracking the sales. In regards to the advantages of pay-per-results model, it allows for very little risk on your end, and it's easily scalable and closable, right? Because you only get paid after you do a certain job. And it can be very high capacity if you have very streamlined fulfillment. If you, for example, only focus on ads for roofing agencies to generate calls, let's say, and that is the only thing that you do, if you find a winner or if you find a winning pattern for a few clients, you'll be able to quickly duplicate that across your other clients, increasing the revenue, right? Because you're being paid for the result. In regards to disadvantages, when you're starting out, it often happens that it brings in low-end clients that don't have a proof of concept on their own, don't have money, and you will be their last resort in regards to rescuing the company. And you don't want to work with those clients even if you can deliver results, because if you will, for example, be delivering them leads, they'll come back and tell you that the leads are bad quality and that your service is crap and that they want a refund because they have no idea on how to sell, right? And then it's not your fault, but you have a problem, if that makes sense. So it's also client dependent for success. All right, next one is the holy grail of SMMA, the Suite Retainer. Best recommended to mid to high tier agencies that already have some proof of concepts, have some traction, know how to scale their company, and know how to deliver results. So if you have proven service delivery and sales, because Retainer is a bit harder to sell these days, especially. And also if you have unique leverage or social proof. Unique leverage could be a YouTube channel. A unique leverage could be, for example, 150 testimonial videos, right? You have some sort of authority, some sort of an audience. Examples of retainer-based offer can be, for example, $3,000 per month, $9,000 per month, $30 per lead, or some number for sale. I don't know, I think I put 2,000 there or something like this. In advantages, it's best for steady cash flow. You know when cash comes in, you know when clients pay, you can forecast the revenue, you can therefore also forecast scaling and increasing the revenue. And you also collect the cash upfront, right? Disadvantages, it's harder to sell to cold leads. If you have leads that are not properly warmed up through the funnel, you didn't build enough authority with them, you didn't sell them on any unique mechanism, it will be harder to close for you. And it also requires good lead qualification, especially if you are using a guarantee with a retainer. You will do all the work, and if the client is not qualified, if you cannot deliver them results for any reason, you'll do all the work for the whole period, and then you'll need to refund them at the end, depending on what structure of this payment model you run. All right, and there's also hourly pricing, and that is based for creative-based agencies that are doing, for example, web design, graphic design, something that is project time-based. Creative freelancers, if they, for example, want to build a brand and they want to build sort of a mini agency on their own. But in regards to lead generation, it's also very good for personal brand and consulting. And what I mean by this, if you, for example, has a huge lead generation agency in, let's say, med spa niche or dental niche, and then you basically start build your own audience channels. So like you start a YouTube or an Instagram, and then you'll always have a group of people that want to work directly with you and that will pay the highest price possible out of all your tiers, all of your packages, right? So you can, for example, do one-on-one consulting for med spa owners above 50K, and you charge, for example, $2,000 per hour for that, right? And then you also say hourly pricing, but it's high ticket. And as you can see in the examples, like $50 per hour, for example, for graphic projects. You can also, for example, if you do a SaaS, or if you set up high level and clients want to do any changes, you can then charge them additionally, for example, to retainer to your retainer. You can charge them, for example, $120 for one support hour. So basically you made their snapshot, they want to change something, and then you count how much time you spend. And it's also a good upsell, right? Because it increases the lifetime value. You can charge $500 per consultation or $20K for a 4-month mentoring package. Advantages, no risk. And if you have the right leverage, meaning like a channel or some unique mechanism, some audience, then it could be very, very scalable because you scale it by the price and by the scarcity of your person. Disadvantages, scaling by selling time, right? So if you are not in a position where you can charge $5,000 per hour, you will have a cap on how many hours you can sell. And also, if you want to scale, for example, a service-based business that is, let's say, a web design agency, you'll be scaling that with people, right? So if you want to scale, you need to get more available hours to retail to your clients. So you'll need to hire more staff, right? And scaling with people is not as predictable as systems or automations. And if it's tied to a persona, it's often hard to have a business where you don't need to put in that many hours and you can sort of more oversee because you'll be needed. And at the end, there's also the hybrid model, which I think is the most popular model in 2024. A lot of agencies use hybrid model. A lot of also influencers use hybrid models, as for example, Serge Gattari or Joe Kaplan. They all use hybrid models usually. And it's a category of their own because there can be a lot of hybrid offers. And let's run through some examples. You can, for example, be charging a setup fee, right? This is something we haven't discussed before, but if, for example, you have a service where at the beginning you put in the most amount of hours towards the setup of the fulfillment, you can charge a higher setup fee at the beginning and then a lower retainer, or you can charge a lower setup fee and a higher retainer. So setup fee would be, for example, if you pay somebody $2,000 setup and then $500 per month, right? It can be a retainer plus a success fee. Very, very good if you have an audience, if you have an established brand. You can, for example, charge people $3,000 per month, and then you can charge them percentage on, let's say, closed deals or on revenue. There's also setup fee plus pay per results. So that's, for example, when you're charging a very high setup fee to sort of to make up for the time that it will take you to start generating results for a certain client. So you can, for example, charge $3,000 upfront, know that it will take you around a month to start generating them appointments, and then charge $250 per qualified appointment. You know that on average, the percentages of the qualified appointments add up to 3K, and you have 3K setup fee. So it's like you were still charging them from the start, right? 3K. And you can also do like a downsell retainer that is pretty popular with info products. You can, for example, do 18K for 4 months of coaching and course, and then it's $1,500 per month after that time for the course access and the community access, right? So those are the offers. Why people use hybrid pricing? Risk reward mitigation to help close the calls and to help get people through the line. We know that it's the hardest to get the first dollar out of somebody, right? Not the 37th, right? Because there's the commitment, so you can mitigate the risk to have easier closes. You can also charge adequately to your workload depending on how the service fulfillment evolves, right? If it's stable, you will charge a retainer. If it's more work up front, you can charge a setup fee. Sometimes, in a very sneaky way, it also builds trust before an upsell. So you can have a lower ticket product for the first, let's say, few months to get your clients from A to B. And then once they're on B, they need to sign up for the higher tier offer to, accommodate their current needs and current budgets, right? Right. And also with hybrid pricing, you can also increase your prices without getting friction from the clients. What I mean by that, if you, for example, before charged $5,000 retainer, you can bring down the retainer to say $4,000, $3,500, but charge them 20% of closed deals, right? Or you can leave the retainer and add the percentage basis if you're, for example, improving the service, right? So I think that would be all for the pricing models. I think in the next video, we'll go also after the offer value proposition. So how to build the core offer and also how to put everything together for it to make the most sense and for it to be easiest to sell. So look out for the next videos. If you need some help with scaling your agency, click the link in the description. There will be a link to my calendar, and otherwise, thanks for watching.